That's right.
Rob's Arcade,
Uh-huh.
where the games get played and the games get saved so they can be played on another day. Rob's Arcade.
All right, guys. Welcome back to part two. Looking at some behind the scenes of my favorite video games here on this retro rewind weekend. Just something I wanted to take a look at. A lot of times I take a look at the video games that I rented back in the day, back in the 90s, going to the video store, picking up video games for the Sega Genesis, like Aladdin, like The Lion King. And I like to show those games to you. And after playing some recent um, mod, or I guess ports of Sega CD titles that I have, I realized there's some really cool videos in there and some behind the scenes kind of looks at those. And I was like, let me share some of these cool features. A lot of times I don't even really dive too heavily into some of the options, some of the features that are in games. I just kind of dive into the game itself, and I just thought, oh no, let me take a look at this with you guys and kind of share um, some of this stuff with you guys. And they have a really cool museum here. If you want to check out some gameplay, I've got some gameplay on my channel, or I'm sure you can find some playthroughs. But yeah, let's just kick back and pick up where we left off on some making of Aladdin, part 3 of this little special feature, part 2 of my video. And yeah, let's just kick back. I'm going to drink some coffee, eat some yogurt, and learn more about one of my favorite games. This has actually been really, really informative. I'm learning a lot this morning.
We, as a team, weren't too used to a design document. It's not that we don't want one, it's that we believed very strongly in just playing something and feeling if the design document said Aladdin jumps half his body height, that might be helpful, but does that feel good? And so we would go, yeah, no, it doesn't feel right.
There were elements of the design document, if I went back and looked at it, that I think made it in the game. A large percentage didn't, because it just evolved.
And so everything was tuned based upon what we just thought felt right. And so then the level starts getting laid out based on the limitations of the device. So whatever the design said, we're going to have some repetition of things because that's just how the platforms work. The game ended up building itself based upon what felt good or what fit and we could squeeze into the device.
We were designing on the fly and Disney was approving it or not approving it or giving input. So it was an organic process.
The biggest challenge to program a game like Aladdin is actually to get Aladdin, the character, to fit into the console when you have potentially thousands of frames. How could you ever do that? The way a video game console worked back then is you would draw a box around that character and that whole thing would get stored. So Aladdin was actually the worst case designed character ever because it's a person with a big long sword. And when you hold out the sword, it makes a box like this big because you got Aladdin and the sword doing this. And so it caused us really to think very hard, how could you possibly crunch all these big giant characters into the game?
The real breakthrough was Dave's sprite system, which could take non-square characters and break it down into little parts.
My tools engineer, Andy Astor, he made a tool for us that basically just did the most amazing job of cutting out all the bits that weren't necessary and also looking for any little bits that were the same. So if Aladdin's ear didn't move between 2 frames, it would actually save that part and we'd reuse the ear from previously. And so there was this sort of massively clever compression going on.
And no one had really done that before, so we could have big stretchy frames of animation.
Making it possible to have larger shapes that could change shape on the screen rather than just saying, hey, this is like a 4x4 sprite.
I personally spent a lot of time early on in the project working with Dave to figure out how we were going to get these drawings down to these sprites with giant pixels in them and have it still have that sub-pixel movement and still look like the animation.
I think I remember seeing the very early, Aladdin like run cycle and that up on Dave's machine, and it was just in black and white pencil still, and you could just see it was just so fluid. We'd never seen anything quite like this before.
Eventually we got to the point where it worked.
Games were very horizontal and vertical before, and we had lots of slopes and angles.
Yeah, it didn't require straight lines. Well, you actually had a tile set that would actually build these little lines and would have different angles of these tiles, which would be the thing that the character would walk along. And so we could build different angles, make them go up, and
you could make some one way as well, so you could you walk on it, but you could jump back up through it.
Yes, this was my method. Is like I would take some element of the game, and I just draw that on my monitor, and then we had to make tiles that were 8x8s. And then you could build those into larger tiles that were 2 of those tiles in each direction. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. So that would be a 16x16 tile. And from there, they were then used to build the actual levels themselves.
When I would look at some of the art that was based on the level art, I would look at what I thought was the highlight.
Everybody else got all that?
And I go, okay, I'm just going to start right there, and I'm going to burn a bunch of tiles, like a third of my tile set, to get that one piece looking great, and then try and stretch out.
Yeah, and then you try and use bits of that one piece.
But I wanted to make sure I had that strong center piece to the level that you go, oh, that looks just like the movie.
It was also interesting in Aladdin, there's one thing I talk about quite often, is how people play video games, they just want to be entertained. And so we worried a lot about the story of Aladdin. Is it going to be important that we tell the story? And in reality, the kids already know the story, but so there's a whole argument, do we really have to tell the story? And we, of course, agreed in the end, yes, we have to tell the Aladdin story. So we had this scrolling Once Upon a Time thing. We tested it with the kids, and it was so funny because we're watching a room full of kids, and all you see is the thumbs going,
click, click,
play the game,
we don't
play
care,
the game.
we don't care.
I don't want to read any of this.
Yeah, but we just spent a week making this beautiful thing.
There was one girl in the room who sat and read all this stuff, and we pulled her out and said, why did you read all this, why did you read the story? And she goes, because I thought it would say something important and it didn't, and I'm really annoyed. So,
it's just the story we're setting up.
So it's a very interesting point, because there's a discussion on whether video games should be, more about stories and more about gameplay. I think it was pretty clear at that point in the industry, it was all about the gameplay. Sound is way more important than most teams are ever willing to admit.
This is one thing that Dave really fought for. Audio actually took up the most space of these cartridges. And so if you wanted more memory on your cartridge, oh, well, that's $3 more per cartridge. And so they never gave music guys anything. But what Dave would do is he would say to me, look, Tommy, pretend you didn't have any restrictions. What could you get the Sega Genesis to sound like? So me and Dave, we used priority. We were doing things that no one had ever done before. And then Dave, again, to his credit, he would take that to the president of the company, Martin, and say, hey, look, guys, if you spent that extra $3 or $4, look what we could get this to sound like. Disney gave me all of these scores, these massive conductor scores and sheet music. This is a score written for the movie that had maybe 72 players. Now I only had 6 voices, 6 monophonic voices in the Genesis, and so it was very difficult to take these big scores and kind of putting them like this. So I had to go out and hire a dude, remember his name was Donald Griffin, to take all these massive scores, and then I would get back a MIDI file that had everything broken down, and I would have to then go in that MIDI file and start hacking and doing all my little tricks that I would kind of perfected in the Genesis over the years. The sound chip in the Sega Genesis it's called FM synthesis. It's a synthesizer from the 80s. It was actually a Yamaha chip that they used in the DX7. So it was this really kind of punchy, synthy, had lots of beefy low-end kind of stuff. For an orchestral score like Aladdin, a challenge for me was, okay, I might be able to write a tune, or I'd get that MIDI file of everything arranged, but now I got to get this thing to sound like an oboe. Oh my God, how do I get a wow to sound like an oboe. So I would sit there for like literally days at a time, days, to come up and tweak all of the different things within the chip to get it to sound as close to an oboe as I possibly could.
At the time, everything sounded very digital in the game
God,
industry.
no wonder I love this game. You better love this game.
All
the crazy stuff they had to
on or
do.
off. He would go in there and hand edit each strike, say for on a drum, to be just a little different.
Just a little off.
Just a little different, just so it sounded softer and real.
The easy thing to do would just be to quantize everything so it was exactly on the beat, but it didn't have human feel.
Yeah.
And so the only way to get that human feel was to go in and literally tweak every single number and listen and tweak again.
I definitely appreciated the work that was getting done, there's no question. Sometimes he would come in, it would blow me away. I'd be like, how are you doing this? Okay, that sounds like a real electric guitar. And he's like, it is.
Wow. Let's see, do we have time for another one?
I think at the time there was hit and misses with movie tie-in games. Most of them weren't very good.
Yeah, I once had a licensing meeting in Hollywood, and I was told to wait in, to talk to this licensing person, and I was sitting there with literally coffee cups and things like that. And I remember going, "You think video games are a coffee cup, don't you?
Yeah.
Like you're licensing another coffee cup deal."
But Aladdin was the first game where we had full access to the creatives at Disney. This was a milestone. I think it proved to the industry, if you actually put these video game people in a room with the big, talented Hollywood people,
they can work together.
They can work together and make something amazing.
It was so much better than what was expected. Whoa, this game's really good.
Honestly, I think Aladdin was just at that sort of in a sweet spot where Hollywood was really starting to take this stuff more seriously. So that was kind of one of those moments when things changed. At the time, when you made a video game, you would get some magazine adverts. They'd run some adverts, and that was pretty much all you get.
Yeah.
And we once got invited to a press launch for Aladdin in Chicago at CES.
CES.
We were revealing Aladdin at CES, and at the last minute I decided not to go because I felt like I had too much work to do just to get the game finished. And so I didn't go.
I arrived and the doors open, and there's the entire floor is the cast of Aladdin, like all in costumes and people in dancing and all the rest of it, getting ready. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on here? And I go down and I go into this giant room. Remember
Katzenberg,
Shinobu, the head of SEGA of Japan, was there. Katzenberg was on stage.
Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Yeah, Richard Branson was
at the
there.
time, Jeffrey Katzenberg was the president of Disney.
Yeah,
Richard Branson was there, and Tom Kalinske, president of
all
SEGA.
the press.
This was it. This is a big deal.
It was a
Are
weird
coming out.
moment because I'd made a lot of games that had, that had good brands and things like that, but I'd never seen what happens when you have that level of celebrity lean in, and having Disney, of course, as well.
I remember everybody coming back from CES, and Aladdin had won like Game of the Show, and like there was all these accolades. And I remember Doc saying he had never been so proud to wear a company shirt than he was at that show, walking around with the Virgin shirt and showing Aladdin. So there was like all these accolades and this excitement about the game.
It was a really amazing point certainly in my career, because I could feel video games were about to become big. Like this wasn't the way it had been for the last 10 or 15 years. This was next level stuff.
It was all happening, and there was just a huge excitement about Disney at the time.
They could do no wrong.
Yeah,
right,
it was everyone was excited about Disney movies.
Jeffrey Katzenberg once called me to ask about working on The Lion King, and it was very difficult to say, no, we're not going to do it.
Well, we wanted Lion King so
Lion
badly.
King. Oh yes.
Yeah, because we got to see a special preview of the movie. Flown out to Vegas. Roy Disney was there, Katzenberg was there. It was a big production, and we were so nervous. And the movie came out, and I remember Doug was sitting in front of me, and I could see tears rolling down his cheek.
Yeah, it was so
you know, so it was very emotional.
I regret that to some extent because I think we could have done just an astounding job. The people that did handle it were excellent.
Westwood,
you know,
was
Westwood.
amazing, yeah.
So they did fine. There was no problem. They got a great game. I would have enjoyed that experience of getting even closer to Disney and seeing where this would have gone.
I want to do Frozen. From a musical standpoint.
Having a daughter, I would love to do Frozen. That would have been really
Imagine
good.
all the ice effects and stuff we could do. Fantasia would have been to work in that world with amazing music and the sorcerer Mickey on the mountaintop and conducting the thing.
We felt pretty proud of what we had achieved. It was a good looking game. It was fun to play. So I expected it to be successful, but I think it was more successful than any of us could imagine. We just tried to meet the quality standard of the movie as much as we could on that, 16-bit Genesis, just to try and get as much of what the movie was and the imagery, follow it as close as possible.
It was a perfect little storm of all of those disciplines: design, production, animation, art, even marketing. It was the right property at the right time.
I think it's just the visual look and the quality of the game. It set a new standard. It really was a new benchmark in the animation.
The balance between the gameplay with the look, it all was in harmony. Nothing seemed out of place. The music was great.
Oh yeah, the music was
everything's
really good,
at equal bar,
It was so fun, and to see the final product and get it out, and to see the reception of it was really exciting.
Yeah.
Wow. That was really amazing. Well, as you can see, they discussed a little bit about Lion King, so we'll definitely take a look at that. Oh wait, they got something else here, playing the movie. What is this about here? Like I said, showing you how they actually represent the movie in the gameplay here. Here, we'll take a look at the Lion King too. My idea is, taking a look at all of the Disney games that I have from like the SEGA, Nintendo. As we head back to school, I want to highlight the Disney afternoon video games that I have, like DuckTales, Rescue Rangers, all of that. And we'll also be taking a look at the Lion King a little bit. That's really cool. What's this here? Oh, this looks old as dirt. What?
Hi! You have been specially selected from among thousands of players to receive some inside information on the hottest video game of the holiday season.
Talk about
Capcom
retro
has brought a blockbuster
rewind.
movie to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Disney's Aladdin. That's right, Disney's smash hit movie is now a Capcom video game for your Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And because Capcom has only sent this tape to you and a few others, we're counting on you to show your friends and spread the word. Just think, now not only can you watch Aladdin, you can be Aladdin. If I had a genie and 3 wishes, I'd wish we could get a sneak preview of the game.
Whoa! Far out.
Wow, the colors and graphics are really cool. I wish we had someone to tell us about it.
Your second wish is Capcom's command. Yes, all your favorite characters from Disney's Aladdin are here in this action-packed adventure direct from the streets of Agrabah. Aladdin, Abu, Jasmine, Jafar, the magic carpet, and of course, the big blue guy in the size 3 lamp. Genie of the Lamp. Capcom allows you to enter a whole new world of
Oh
danger
man, the Super
and
Nintendo
enchantment in a
edition
game
does
that
not
follows the
look
movie
as good at all.
storyline and lets you live the adventure. As Aladdin, you will run, jump, swing, climb, until you triumph over the evil Jafar and win the heart of Princess Jasmine. Oh, but not so fast. You have 7 heart-pounding levels of gameplay to master before you're through. After you've escaped your enemies in the marketplace and been freed from the palace dungeon, search the perilous Cave of Wonders for the magical lamp. Look out! The cave is turning to lava. There's no time to lose. Climb inside the genie's lamp for a walk on the wacky side.
Oh, that's awful.
Uh-oh, Abu has stumbled into an ancient pyramid infested by ghoulish grave robbers who prey upon unwary intruders. Quickly, you must find Abu before they do.
That never happened in the movie.
And you thought the ends of the earth were chilling. Here in Jafar's Palace of Doom, danger lurks behind every corner, and fear rules supreme. You must fight your way through it to defeat Jafar and save Princess Jasmine. In the bonus round, you and Princess Jasmine can fly on the magic carpet to collect special treasures.
Is this game incredible or what? And not only has super graphics, but great background music as well. You'll hear 2 of the movie's greatest hits by Academy Award-winning composer Alan Menken. Fantastic tunes like Never Had a Friend Like Me and A Whole New World. I'm telling you, this game has it all.
What am I waiting for? I need to head to my local video store and pick it up right away.
Super graphics, great Disney characters, exciting action, 7 levels of play, hit songs from the movie. You couldn't wish for anything more. Except maybe a drink to go with this popcorn so I could get out of this line. You're spoiling me, you know that. Disney's Aladdin is one addition to your video game library you just gotta have. In fact, I wish I had that game right now.
You used all your wishes, dude.
Dear James, sorry pal, your wishes are up. Watch for Capcom's latest hit, Disney's Aladdin, coming soon to a store near you. I cannot believe I wasted my last wish on this. Oh well, it looks like we've all got something to look forward to.
Don't miss the chance to capture the power of the lamp on your very own Super NES system.
Wow.
Get Disney's Aladdin.
Coming
and live
soon.
The magic and mystery of this classic
Can't wait
action
till it
adventure.
comes out.
Disney's Aladdin. Quality
wait.
entertainment software flying to your Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
I already
From
got it.
Capcom.
That's awesome. All right, well, let's see. That looks like that is about it for this museum. And it looks like it's about it for this video. I really want to thank you guys for hanging out with me, taking a look at some of the behind the scenes, some of the special features, if you will, of video games and what went into making them. As you can see, Aladdin was one of those titles where a lot of work went into making sure that this was a game that was not only fun to play, but true to the material as well. And like I said, that I think is probably one of the reasons why it's still one of my favorite games. I mean, as I said, even so many years later, it still holds up to this day. So please make sure you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about this, if this was something that you would play, if something you have maybe played in the past. And, you know, just anything you guys want to shout down. I love getting comments from you all. And until next time, make sure you all take care of yourself. Make sure you all take care of each other. And make sure you all do not spend that quarter anywhere else. Thanks so much for hanging out. Look forward to more Disney stuff coming soon. Until then, peace out, guys. See you later.